All right, welcome back, COSA 50 Web folks. Professor Almeida here. Happy Thursday, everyone. Coming up in this video, I want to talk to you about the game plan for week 2, which is already open and available to you. But first, let's recap your first week, and I also have some other housekeeping items. And I want to begin with the Canvas course chat. I will be there later this morning from 9 a.m. until noon Pacific time. If you have questions about the class, so feel free to drop into the chat. You can also message me privately through the Canvas inbox. Now, let's get into Canvas here. And here we are in the Canvas dashboard. Hopefully by now you've had a chance to settle into the class, especially since we are moving at a faster pace. As a matter of fact, I put out this announcement with a suggested pace for TFS. And again, I do hope that you've had a chance to settle in. If you have not started, you have a whole lot of catching up to do. So this was from Monday, where the pace was to settle in, read the syllabus, and begin your TFS Concepts 1 training. Speaking of TFS Concepts 1 training, this assignment is due on Monday, and it is a participation requirement of everyone. If you do not turn in TFS Concepts 1 training, I'm going to assume, and regardless of reason, I'm going to assume that you're no longer interested in the class, and unfortunately, you will be dropped. These training sims, honestly, should not take you very long. It's basically just watching videos and answering quiz questions. Okay, it should be pretty straightforward. And then on Tuesday, TFS Concepts 2, you have the training sim for that along with the material. And then yesterday you would have done TFS Concepts 3. Hopefully, if you're following the suggested pace today, you're working on your exams for TFS Concepts 1 through 3. The exams are a lot like the training sims, same number of tasks. If you prefer, because I know some folks have asked, you could take the exam right after the training sim for the chapter. So for example, let's say TFS Concepts 2, you're done with it, you can take the exam for TFS Concepts 2 and so forth. So if you haven't done any of this, now would be a good time to get caught up. And if you have been following this suggested pace, tomorrow, relax, take the day off. Week 2, same thing, right? TFS Concepts 4, 5, 6, and then your exams. As a matter of fact, you could see right here in the syllabus. So again, TFS Concepts 1 training due on Monday, but all the rest of your TFS assignments will be due Sunday, March 16th. Now, I will continue to watch for participation beyond TFS Concepts 1 training. So you need to make sure that you are actually turning in work, because again, we're taking 16 weeks worth of COSA 50 and we're cramming it into 12. And this is where the cramming happens, right here in the first 2 weeks. Later on, when we get into Microsoft 365, we're going to follow the usual pace. 2 weeks of Word, 2 weeks of PowerPoint, 2 weeks of Excel, 2 weeks of Access, and then we're going to have to cram things at the very end with the capstone and Gmetrics MOS prep. So again, this is the 12-week version of the COSA 50 class that is normally taught in 16 weeks. All right, so again, if you haven't been working on TFS, you have a whole lot of catching up to do. And by the way, I also want to share with you here ebooks and Cengage resources. If you want to do further reading, if you really want to understand the concepts, you do have an ebook available to you, and I hope that you find this ebook useful. As a matter of fact, this is part of the material fee for first day. So here's TFS. You can see here are the 6 chapters that we are covering. And then later on, when we get into Microsoft 365, you'll see the material here when we get into our 3 chapters of Word. If you need to get support in this class, you have the COS Computer Labs in M229 and AA206. And by the way, if you want to find these pages, it's on the second page of the syllabus, or if you go back to modules, go to the welcome module. You'll see it under campus resources. So again, you have the COS Computer Labs available to you. Scroll on down and you'll see ways to contact our COS instructional assistants. If you need to get help with LBCC technology, whether it's the Viking portal or installing Microsoft 365, which you should do by the end of week 2, you can reach out to the Student Tech Help Desk. And speaking of Microsoft 365, you need to make sure that you have a Windows PC in this class. And if you don't, go to the COS Computer Labs. Let me show you real quick how to install Microsoft 365. If you go into your Viking portal, you will see a button for Microsoft 365. You can also go to office.com, but as you can see here in the message that Microsoft is changing the web address from office.com. This is the Microsoft 365 Copilot dashboard, formerly known as Microsoft 365 and formerly known as Office 365. You should see an Install and More button. Choose Install Microsoft 365 apps, and then from there, install Office. You should see an installer download. Launch the installer, follow the prompts to complete installation, and then once you have that installed, be sure to sign in to your Microsoft account, not just with Word, but also your OneDrive. Now, if you're using OneDrive at home, you should see an option to add another account, and then from there, you can add your LBCC account. And by the way, your LBCC account is your student ID number at lbcc.edu. It reads like an email address. So, for example, if your student ID number is 0123456, then you would type out 0123456 at lbcc.edu. More information is in your syllabus. So again, reach out to the Student Tech Help Desk if you run into issues with installing Microsoft 365 or with your Viking portal. Since this is an online asynchronous class, be sure to check out these free resources, especially if you're new to online learning. And then lastly, if you need to get one-on-one tutoring for this class, this is done through the MDSC or Multidisciplinary Success Center. Here is the schedule for spring. So if you scroll on down, here's COSA 50 at LAC. And by the way, this is if you want to meet a tutor in person at LAC. This right here is COSA 50 for online tutors. And with that, it is 9 a.m. So I'll go ahead and end this video. Thanks for watching. Have a good week. Let's make sure that we get caught up. And with that, take care. I'll see you in the Canvas course chat. Thanks for watching.